Starting the stream. Alright, good morning. And or afternoon or whatever the hell it is. This is the Galactic Gamers Coalition number 14. 14. And a little bit delayed since the last one. Maybe 3-ish months. But that's okay. We're back. We're back. Alright. Fine group of people here. A little bit delayed since the last one. Maybe 3-ish Why can I hear myself? Okay. Oh god, I've got to switch open somewhere.
Somebody has the stream open.
Oh my god. Is that me or someone else? It stopped. That's good. Yeah, okay. Alright.
Is it me?
I can't hear it anymore, so whoever stopped it, it's great.
It could have been me. Could have been me.
Oh, okay. Let me tweet out via the tweet deck using the fancy ass Galactic game. We are live.
Woohoo.
Just let me fuck around with this for a second. Pardon French. Via that or that. May have too many tabs open. We are live. Come join. Alright, I'll retweet Utinicast. Okay, retweet. Okay, for Utinicast, I can give you a direct link to the tweet just to make life easier. Somewhere there is a direct link. Here it is. Where's the chat? Hangout. Chat. Alright. Yep, I just put the link in for that if you want to retweet or not. And okay. Alright, Chill, have you worked out a really cool intro?
I've got it, yep. Are you ready to go?
Yes. Anyone else got anything else to say or add? Alright.
Hold on to your butts.
Looks good.
I should have had more wine. Alright, let's roll.
Alright, going in 5. Hello and welcome to the Galactic Gamers Podcast. Think of it like the Jedi Council, only with even more ridiculous philosophical discussions about the galaxy. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio from the Utinicast. Hello, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And we've got with us Max from the SWTOR Escape Podcast. Hey, Max.
Hey there.
And we've got Knight from Have a Nice Day Cast. Hey, Knight.
Hey, how's it going?
Brian from Bad Feeling is here. Hello, Brian.
Well, hi, everybody.
And Police from Beyond the Stars podcast is here. Police.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Great. All right, the last GGC at number 13 was on March 15th, just after Game Update 4.2, so we've got a whole area to cover here, and we're going to talk about the story so far. Tio, I'm going to throw this to you.
Well, let's start with the June producer livestream, which was a more recent one. Of course, feel free to bring up anything from the previous live streams as we sort of go through it. So this was just on Friday morning, US time, which was basically yesterday, 6 a.m. for me. That was so painful. But anyway, what they actually covered, they've got a format pretty much nailed down now. It seems that Charles Boyd is going to be there, along with producer Ben Irving, and of course Eric Musco, community manager. And they start with the State of the Galaxy, just talking about the most recent stuff. So as we all know, Chapter 15 launched just a few days ago, literally. And why don't we start with that? What do we all think of the first chapter? Well, what do we all think of Chapter 15? Let's start with Max. Just general impressions and how you feel about the story so far.
I think, and I've been getting a sense from a lot of people sort of trending in this direction, it's been going great. The quality of each of the chapters especially over the course of the last 3, including this one, has been spectacular. It started with the Satil Shan Darth Mar, sort of lead up, the everyone had a lot of fun, and I think it was nice of them to change it to sort of the fun and interesting Galt vet chapter last round. And this one, I don't know how spoilery we want to get, but I really loved this one. It was a combination of both some interesting characters that we love to see back in the story, along with some interesting plot points that really advanced the story, the Knights of the Fallen Empire story itself, and a lot of fun to play with. So I think they've been doing really well from a story perspective.
Where do you think they're going? Do you think that we're going to have a satisfactory wrap-up at the end of this?
I think so. I think there's enough lead up here for the next 2 chapters that they've got enough plot potential for sort of interesting plot twists to give us a satisfactory story conclusion. And I think obviously we have a lead up to the big blowout fight with Arkin. That's been coming for quite a while. We're gonna be looking forward to that as well. All the ingredients are there. Certainly they have to make sure that they execute, but I think all the ingredients are there.
And set us up for season 2, obviously. All right. Let me just put on the recording. Chapter 14, so I can put that in because the notes said 15. Yeah. Oops. But anyway, I'll fix that. All right, Knight, what do you reckon about Chapter 14 and before?
I've really enjoyed it so far. I think they've kicked it up a notch as chapters have gone on. I'm looking forward to playing it all the way through because with the month-to-month, there's that gap of just weeks of nothing, and then the chapter release to an hour and a half or so, depending on how long you take it. And so it's the difference of watching a binge of a show and then watching the show every other week. So it's just right. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all fits together. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think they've got better with every release, and I'm looking forward to the next season, whatever that might be.
Well said.
Sorry, I tend to be overly positive. I'm sorry.
That's completely fine, and I don't think any of us would really disagree with that as far as the actual story itself.
Yes.
Though I do have my opinions about cinematic storytelling and how inappropriate it is for this style of game, but that's more one of those philosophical things which we probably won't touch on. All right, Mr. Brian, how are you feeling about the story?
I feel good about it. Like Max said, we can definitely see where it's leading up to the big confrontation. But for the first time, I really feel like I want to start replaying these last couple chapters. So for me, numbers 1 through 10 were just really prologue, I guess. And I'd seen the cinematics so many times. I've played through them a couple times. It seemed more like a chore. But the last 3-4 chapters, I'm actually more excited about. I want to see the different nuances. I want to see, what I want to see certain companions leave or die or whatever, because I've read a bunch of spoilers, so I know that there's some variation in there that I haven't seen yet.
Should keep away from that stuff.
And it's trouble. But yeah, these last 3 chapters I've enjoyed to the point where I want to start replaying it already again instead of waiting until the end of the whole season.
Okay. All right. Palais.
Like you all, I've enjoyed the story. It's run very well. My thing with Chapter 12 was I'm a little kind of ambivalent about the philosophical, when they get philosophical about the Force and everything. Because I love Star Wars because of its homages back to the oldest serials and pulps and stuff, and good versus evil, and the whole action-adventure. And when they start trying to put a strong philosophical underpinnings in it, I'm just kind of like, this really kind of doesn't work for me, but if it works for others, that's cool. As I was sitting there thinking today about this, I noticed how you can really see the episodic TV pattern in it, because they really start strong. Then you got to kind of like your mid-season with Chapter 9, and then they started out with 10, 11, kind of those filler episodes where they just got to put something in, and those honestly felt like they were learning, and they, a lot of people's complaints was that they were more like glorified companion recruitment missions.
Which they were, to be honest.
Right. and now I think you're getting into the meat of it, and they're
Yep.
setting up for the end of it. And I'm sure this will end on a cliffhanger. I don't think Arkin and the rest will be defeated till at least another season or two of them. I mean, they're going to work this going forward because, honestly, how do you go from this story to somewhere else without
Well,
making
yes.
even greater threat? You know, and you've already moved your character from being a powerful mover and shaker to the one in the galaxy. You know, the chosen one. And
Yes.
I understand why BioWare does that in their single player. I don't like it in MMO. I want my character to feel like when they're doing something that they are taking risks, that they have a chance to lose. And so it's like why I love the ending of Ziost. Was just like, you tried and you failed, and
Yeah.
there was consequences.
I've been thinking about this generally in terms of can they ever break up the alliance that we've created and our characters all apparently lead our own individual alliances? Because all those companions from Republic and Empire, they're all following us at the moment. But if they ever kind of revert to the old Republic versus Empire, won't they everyone go all their separate ways, which is fine, but wouldn't that also mean that we lose a bunch of our companions? That we've now earned our army of companions?
Well, yeah, but if you
Don't
lost
think about it too
Companion
hard.
47, are you really going to care?
Oh, not even a little bit, but I
What
don't
if
know
it's
how they're
one
going to play
one?
that.
But what if it's one that you spent all the way up to 50?
Yes,
Right.
and that could sting a lot.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
then
they'll
I guess
just
you have to go to the
trade.
cantina and click on that special thing and get them back.
Oh God! All right, Chill. What about you? How are you feeling about story?
I like this one. I actually really dug the again glorified companion gathering of the last one, which was the heist episode. That was
Yeah.
even more fun for me. But this one was solid, and it was nice to see that they could go back to the one planet that we very briefly saw for Scum and Villainy, and put that feel, which you didn't really get a good feel for that planet necessarily, but yet you could still tell when we got there that that's exactly what it was, with the desert and certain of the architecture and so on. And I had fun with some of the mechanics they did. So they're definitely having fun playing with things and keeping things interesting that way. And it does look like things are heating up. I mean, we do have some indications that some major plot points are on the way. So it's hard to avoid spoilers, but we're definitely getting. You can kind of tell that we're getting close to the end of the first season because certain things are happening where it will cause conflict. So it's
It
exciting
is,
to know.
and without spoiling, just a sort of general question: what is the Eternal Empire without the Eternal Fleet? Say, is there anything left? Just out of interest, I mean, it's
A bunch
just
of
cool.
droids.
Yeah, so as it's one of those other things. I'm wondering where the hell are they going with this because
Right.
longer term.
Yeah, it's true. The Knights of Zakul there's only so many of them. There's only the Sky Troopers are all powerful and stuff, but it's really the Eternal Fleet that seems to be sort of the one dominating factor for them.
Right.
So if our little guys are able to undermine that, it definitely is going to bring the Empire and the Republic potentially back into power. So.
And then, well, who knows, really? So, okay, my own impressions was I did enjoy the story. I'm not a Mandalorian nut, so it's like whatever. Just out of curiosity, can you go back to Darvanis, to the compound area, once you've done the story?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can?
Absolutely,
Fly there.
yes. You can go hang out there.
Oh,
It's
that's
a
all right.
Yeah.
conquest place.
Ah, cool. All right, so
Nice.
that's been one of my complaints, where some of the places that you go, you just can't get back to. But that's great.
Nice.
So maybe they're
It has a
listening.
bunch of
or-
gathering nodes. There's not
Yeah.
a lot to do there, but a ton of gathering nodes.
Yeah, I
So
noticed that. That's
I've
what I was
been
going through.
Yeah.
It's a great pace
So-
to do open world PvP.
Really?
You
So
you
did
hanging out in a
Someone.
PvP game focus area night.
Yes, and it was a lot of fun.
So let me ask, did that pull anybody out of the story? Because up to this point, it's been all single player, where you're in your own instance, but then all of a sudden I'm on Darvanis, and there's 50 other people running around, and we're all waiting for the walker to spawn, and then we're all waiting to kill these guys and do the thing. But then, okay, personal instance, and you're by yourself, and then you go back into the mob. That felt a little jarring to me.
Though really, aren't those the MMO bits that at least some of us would really like? That's all part of the fun, right?
Yeah, right. For me, that actually felt more like one of the old planets, because we actually saw people running around, and I didn't worry too much about it. I did make sure to get at least one of the big walkers down, just to see what that was like. But I didn't bother after that. People were competing for him. I just wanted to finish the story at that point. It was fun to see the mechanic and shoot the rockets and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you got to wonder, maybe they're onto a good thing with this whole single-player MMO thing. Sorry, Max.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point, Brian. I did not get pulled out, though. And I guess if you think about the storyline of what's going on, there is a whole bunch of independent squads that are doing various things around the planet. So you could RP in your head. You could your head canon could be that you're just coming across other of the sub teams of Mandalorians that are running around doing whatever, blowing up walkers.
Well,
sure, I'll go with that.
Yeah, all right.
That's you have your personal mission to go off and do the things that you need to do in the sub instances, but there's tons of people running all around the planet.
Certainly plausible.
I did it in the PvP focus, and I didn't have anyone on Jedi.
Yeah.
There you go.
Really?
We had some.
Really, I was the only person in that instance.
I'm gonna go there now while we're talking and switch to the PvP map and see if I get
All right.
shot.
You know where to go to gank Max.
Yeah.
Jedi Covenant. Here I go.
All right, so a few other things came out of the live stream that we'll just touch on briefly. There is a controversy around the Eternal Championship and the picking of winners. I've seen a video where someone actually streamed his entire playthrough, and it was nearly a minute quicker than the winning time. He was presumably one of the people who were disqualified, and it turned out a bunch of people were disqualified, and that was for things like forum violations. Now, Eric has subsequently clarified that that forum violations do expire over time, so would have to have been a recent one to disqualify you. It sounds like a lot of people would have been caught by using /stuck at some point. That apparently would just get you out of the speedrun completely. So, yeah, it's all a bit ugly. Mainly because if you were disqualified, there was no way to tell. And so you were spending hours and hours working on this stuff, and you just didn't know. You were wasting your time, and they could have told you. But, any thoughts, just generally?
I don't feel bad. I mean, if you did something at one point to get yourself disqualified, and I'm sure you know when you're doing something that can get yourself disqualified, whether you're doing the /stuck or whether you're doing something potentially disqualifying on the forums, that it's, I mean, that's, sorry, too bad. There's people who didn't do any of those things that got it, so I don't know.
Well,
that's my take on it.
Yeah, yes and no. The /stuck thing, there are valid reasons to be using /stuck throughout that, especially if you're doing a speed run and you go in there and you make a mistake, and you're in the middle of a fight and you know you've made a mistake and this is not going to be faster than your last run. So fine, I'm going to /stuck out of this one and I'm going to start it over. Because now I'm, this is what I do. We do this in operations constantly. A fight's going bad with a boss, we /stuck, we all reset, and, we do it again.
Oh,
so
okay. Gotcha.
If you're doing it to get around a mechanic, like they explained, there is a bad way to be using it in this particular instance that a lot of people probably never even realized. But after the fact, the valid way to be using it, or even after they told you don't use it to skip conversations, it is a little. It just seems a little harsh, and it's only because they changed the rules after the fact and didn't communicate well that it's a little bit of a problem. And it's more of a communication issue, I think, than anything.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't do ops a whole lot, so I've never had to /stuck during an op. So I've always the only time I've seen /stucking used in gameplay is like in PvP, in ranked or in arenas where they want to just die and get it over with, and that's when it's. I've only seen it in negative connotation like that, so I guess that's why it came off so harsh.
That's fair. But yes, that was one of the big hang-up. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll say it's unfortunate because it again sets up this us versus them dynamic. of it's we the players and Bioware's keeping us down, and it sets up that point of contention again, which it's largely a communication issue, and it's it's he said she said again. So that's really, in my mind, the most unfortunate thing is that we're at odds, the players versus the devs.
Yeah.
Well, but in this particular case, I mean, normally there isn't much there, but in this case, it really wasn't handled particularly well. The only thing, sure, disqualify people for /dark is not fair, but at least let them know somehow.
That's true.
Wasting their time, that part just that's bad.
Or don't ban them. Just say, hey, we discovered people using /duck. We don't want you to. We're restarting the event from here on. If you use it, you're banned, and we're just.
Or any run that used it is is removed, but any other run is perfectly legitimate. Of course,
that makes more sense.
Too late now. They've announced the winners. Right. So the guy from who no doubt lives in London will get his bus ride over to Star Wars Celebration in London, and everything will be fine.
That's why they picked him. He was like, either he's already in London, pick that guy.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a little bit messy. Yeah.
Or give the guy who did it 300 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
310 times, yes.
I haven't been finished it once yet.
Now, there was another change that was made that will start with the Chapter 15 pack, the Cartel pack, where, as you know at the moment, anything of bronze level difficulty, well, bronze chance of getting it, is just a chance cube. What they're going to do is reintroduce bronze items. So currently it's just gold, silver, and there's that new platinum level. And if you rolled bronze on one of the two items that you get, you would get a chance cube. But now they're going to have, you didn't want to commit to it, but roughly 50-50 chance of either getting a bronze item or a chance cube. So, positive.
Oh, okay.
Stock up on chance cubes now to resell them later.
Yeah, they sell remarkably well anyway, so they should sell for even more now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's some packs, their bronze items are. I would rather have a chance cube, at least have a chance of getting something that might look cool. But some of the packs, it's like, that's true. But otherwise, I'm like, okay, I have a chance to get this really ugly vibro sword or this really ugly blaster. I'd rather have a chance to get 50-50 something ugly.
And bracers, getting the bracers of the set of whatever Imperial Senator crappy robe bracers.
Yes.
My platinum bracer pack.
I saw a lot in chat though in the stream during the producer live stream. There were a lot of people in chat saying that sort of at least saying in chat that they liked it. It seemed like a pretty good percentage of people in chat saying, at least it's something. We're tired of the chance cubes, and 50-50 chance to get some kind of item. We would love that. Less chance cubes overall is a win. So
right.
I never open packs anyway, so I don't care either.
Well, me either.
It's kind of scary, though. I've been listening to Swarco Economics. I think he was the one who talked about this. When you buy a pack, they're super expensive now compared to what they used to be. And part of that is because how much the Grand Chance Cube sells for. But you have such a high chance of getting a Grand Chance Cube when you open a pack, you're basically getting almost half of what you put into the pack back if you sell the Chance Cube. Right. But now if it's going to be like less of a chance for a Chance Cube and then just a chance for a crappy bronze, which is going to sell for $20K, packs are going to still stay high up, but you have less of a chance of making your money back on it.
Yeah.
I think it might even out because the cubes will be more rare. So in theory, they should increase in what you can sell them for, and you might probably break even by selling fewer cubes that you get for more a piece.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
We shall see. Yeah.
All right. Now, something they're doing on the live streams and just generally is featuring more of the community. So in the most recent one, Bad Feeling got a mention. The previous one, Swerterista and us with the Academy series got mentioned. I assume all of us will eventually make an appearance, along with streamers and bloggers and whatever else. This does seem to be a good thing. I mean, it seems a little bit late to be doing all this, but gotta say, very much appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm glad to see it. And I wonder if this is a little bit of a change in philosophy because, we're none of us are officially endorsed by BioWare, but I think we all have either a Patreon or PayPal account or affiliates or whatever, and that used to be kind of the red flag out. They wouldn't acknowledge any fan site
Right.
that had any revenue stream, but they seem to have gone back on that, and I'm glad. But
Maybe
it's
Disney loosened the reins for whatever reason.
yeah, could have been, but it's definitely nice. I've certainly learned about a couple streamers, and Theron Thursday on Twitter is always fun too. So
And of course, SWOTOR Family got a mention, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome.
And
All right,
one of the podcasts, some random podcast got to mention this time too.
a bunch
calling
of jokers.
He kept calling you Bad Feeling Podcast. I know you chat under that handle.
Right.
But he saw you chatting in the. He should have said, "Hey, Brian," but no. You have to chat under your name for there, Brian at.
That's how I remain anonymous. Who is it? You don't know. Might be one guy or the other.
Now, something I've been wondering about is how are they going to keep people subscribed between the end of Season 1 and whenever Season 2 begins, which will probably be towards the end of the year. And we have found out they have started they have told us about an event that will go for, believe it or not, multiple months, all the way to the end of the year, in fact, to celebrate SWOTOR's 5-year anniversary. Now, as we know, the game launched in December of 2011, and right at the end of the year will be 5 years. So this event, we'll hear more about it in 3 weeks or so, and it will kick off with Chapter 15 on 28 June, so it's not that far off. And this is apparently dark side versus light side. There's going to be all kinds of stuff to do, and you're at the end of it, depending on which decisions were made, either more light or more dark overall across the entire player base, will determine what kind of a new companion we're going to get, either a dark side one or a light side one. That will affect various bits and pieces. Anyway, we haven't got any details yet, but it sounds kind of interesting, and we'll certainly, apparently you've got to log in regularly to participate, and the more you participate, the more rewards you get, and the rewards are supposed to be amazing. So that was kind of interesting to hear about this completely new event. Now we know why Musco did allude to a new event in his marathon stream.
Right.
Yeah, so all makes sense now. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd say I think it's kind of interesting that they're literally making something out of nothing. You know, all they really need to do is watch the metrics and see what the tally is. And I could see the forcing you to remain subbed to get the prizes for your number of decisions. That may be how they keep subscribers between seasons. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to see how it turns out. I will say I'll be extremely disappointed if whichever companion we don't get appears on the cartel market somehow or appears as a reward in some way.
Yeah.
But I want to see how it plays out. Like I said, player-generated content is always cool, and it's nice to be able to see the players add to the game at large.
I agree. And I'm surprised they haven't done something like this before, because a lot of MMOs out there have some way where you log in a certain amount of time and you get a reward for the 7th day or the 20th day. A lot of Facebook apps have this kind of thing too, and I've wondered when Star Wars would do something like this. And this seems to be something kind of along those lines where it gives you something kind of extra to do when you log in besides just run a crafting cycle or do an op or that kind of stuff.
Do an op. No, those were the days.
And the nice thing is, this doesn't ask the players to do anything different than what they normally do. Just level your characters and make the normal decisions that you do.
Right.
I hope they end up changing like current events or something to give you a chance to, like during this bounty hunter event, if you decide to carbonize them, you get extra points, or if you decide to do this, you get extra points.
It is. If you measure something, you do change behavior. So I think that will be the case to some degree. You do have an opportunity to go into some, like if you go to Black Talon, then you have light side, dark side choice. If you go to CZ198, there's not one. So there will be incentive to go and do a little bit different content. But yeah, it's an event, and any kind of event is a cool thing. We just last week on the podcast were talking about light side, dark side, and how it's sort of, they've done nothing with it for about the last year and a half, and it sort of disappeared. It used to be even more of a thing than it is now, and the fact that they're sort of remembering that part of the whole lore is, I think, pretty cool. So great, do something with it.
They listen to your podcast.
Yeah, and that's what I'm assuming. That they listen to our podcast, and the next day they just really quickly created this event.
Excellent.
Max is right.
But I don't think that's the case.
And I like the fact that they will be telling us what the percentages are going along, so if people really do get involved and want to play that, then they can try to swing the vote.
And I got the impression, now this may not be the case, that they would actually be adding new activities to do along the way, which may become semi-permanent, but who knows. But again, we'll find out in 3 weeks or so. It'd be good to have something new and some other reason to log in, which has sorely been missing since we don't have dailies, we don't have new reputations. Yeah.
Any speculation on the awesome, incredible, better than ever rewards that they've alluded to? For one, terrible idea to allude to rewards in that way, or to sort of set that expectation bar way up here, because there's no way that they're going to meet that bar ever. Everyone's going to be disappointed.
And Ben Irving did chastise Musco for using absolutes, so and then he went on to do it himself.
That's right. Well, yeah.
But it's BioWare. It's in their DNA to, overhype.
What could that possibly be?
Like companion.
Stronghold?
You more companions? Oh my god!
It's K-55's left shoe.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even think of anything. A new stronghold is the only thing I could think of that would be like a big thing. You get a stronghold. Maybe a Darvanis stronghold.
Maybe.
Or a light side stronghold, dark side stronghold. I don't know.
If I think back, last time they made this is a super awesome reward kind of thing was when they were talking about the new chapter where you get to play as HK. So maybe they're planning a new chapter where if you get this certain amount of reward, you get this like bonus chapter where you play as something else.
Oh, more story. Awesome.
That's cool.
That's great. How about a new GSF skin? No, just kidding.
Only if it has HK's face on it.
Republic side only paint job.
It's bound on pickup. Yeah, that would be great.
Yes.
Awesome.
All your Imperial characters.
Someone suggested on Twitter, playable huts. I mean, that would really extend the story out for
A
you.
new species.
I want my playable Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. I'd rather just have some new gameplay additions to the game than fancy ass rewards, to be honest. PvE GSF, please.
I actually have a theory on that, but we're probably not going to get into that stuff. Well, this whole expansion pack, Kotfi, a big, huge portion of it was repurposing old content. That took up a lot of their time, I'm sure, a lot of their effort, and so they've only produced what they have now. This coming season, there's nothing for them to repurpose.
You mean they might have to do something new?
Exactly. So they'll hopefully have this extra manpower that was used previously to repurpose stuff to actually do new stuff. And I'm trying to keep myself from getting too excited, but I don't think it's going to happen. But anyways, I hope that they can end up making something really awesome since they don't have repurposing to do.
Well, we had a great discussion on the last show with Andrew, Soda Economics, about just how they're managing to be so profitable with what they're doing. And, anyway. Could involve cutting costs in certain ways, but
hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully
World
not.
building.
Optimistic.
World building is your most expensive development cost.
Yeah.
Modeling too. I mean, because I saw someone in Blizzard said for them to create a mount, and of course this is Blizzard, and they probably have a very efficient pipeline. They can knock out a mount in like a day, but the modeling and animation can take them months to get it right. So. And I know the raids, the actual raid layout and everything, they said is 90% of the expense of building a raid. Doing the bosses and the mechanics is a lot cheaper in comparison.
That's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Though, if you look at the chapters and the actual level design, as in the environments they're creating, they're incredible. Really, really outstanding.
What they're doing a good job at. We just wish they would add to it in other areas like the MMO bits.
All right. Now, that's a great way to segue into good times for PvP. Now, Knight, you in particular, since Have a Nice Day Cast is a PvP-focused show, but that some of us do PvP as well. Anyway, we all got some fantastic new solid content since the last Galactic Games Coalition. So in Game Update 4.3, we got a new Warzone, Odessa Proving Ground, and a new arena, the Rishi Cove. And of course, in Game Update 4.4, they, without really much warning, they started Ranked PvP Season 7. So what do we all think? Suddenly PvP is of just... I mean, it was a bit of a drought leading up to that, but lots of new stuff.
Oh, is that me?
Shoot. Or anyone.
Yeah, go ahead, anyone else. I want to hear someone else's opinion on PvP.
What do we think of the new Warzones?
Odessa Proving Ground is a lot of fun, and it's very and it feels very different from all the other Warzones. So I'm really happy with that. Haven't because I've been doing a lot of leveling, haven't happened to hit the Rishi Cove arena, but look forward to seeing it. But it's just another arena. But for me, Odessa Proving Ground was really nice to see, and it also seems to indicate that maybe we can have more war zones that both sides can team up for,
right.
Which I think will be of benefit in the long run. So
Agreed.
Yeah, that's practically better than cross server. I agree though. Proving Grounds is fun. I think there was some really good back and forth during the development of that Warzone when they put it out on the servers and they solicited feedback and they tuned it up as they went along. That went really well. Even just that interaction was probably better for the PvP community than the Warzone existing itself. So I think that was very positive sort of building of the Warzone.
I like
having
how they
new
did that.
Yeah, but it's new content, so they got a new map. There's other parts of the game where we don't have new content. This is a place where we did get a new Warzone, a new PvP map, or two of them ultimately. And that's all you can really do in PvP is either get a new game type or get a new arena to go do what you want to do, which is go shoot other people. Right. So you can't ask for too much more with the current release of content. So that was great.
Yeah. I would ask for class balance in addition to a new map.
But haven't we got that?
The two overpowered classes are perfectly balanced with each other. The other six are dark.
But now they've been nerfed, so isn't everything better now?
Patch.
Yeah.
They did get nerfed, but no, I agree. The Sork heals, I could go on a rant about that, but I'm glad to at least see some movement. But I would say what makes PvP interesting is a changing metagame, not just new places to kill each other. So if you have a different flavor of the month every month, then you can keep people interested, keep people playing new characters, and keep the meta changing. So that overarching strategy is really what makes, in my mind, what makes PvP more interesting. New maps are great. It's been 2 years since Quesh Hutball came out, so it was definitely long overdue. But at this point, they need to keep this momentum of working with the community, and it's time to start actual class balance. And however they need to do it, they just need to do something at this point.
So are you actually arguing for class imbalance? If you want to change the meta, are you looking to? If you look at a pure fighting game, some of the pure fighting games that are out there, MOBAs or whatever, the way the meta changes is they add new classes. In this case, we're not going to add new classes. We're not going to add a new character type, a new fighter type. So would it be interesting? I guess are you promoting they overbalance and they over nerf Sorks and Vanguards, so nobody wants to play them anymore and everybody switches around, and then they nerf or buff something else so the meta changes enough that people go off and want to play different characters? I think that's the only way that meta would really work in changing for PvP and support to work.
Yeah, at this point they do need to start retooling it. Obviously the goal is perfect balance. within plus or minus a couple percentage for damage and survivability and time to kill and all those statistics. But it would be nice if they did something where, okay, now all of a sudden mercenaries are a little more powerful, so maybe you want one on your team, or just any sort of tweaks are going to change the meta a little bit. So if they just keep watching those metrics and keep making incremental tweaks, I feel like that would change the meta enough to make people want to play different classes. I'm not saying nerf sorts into the ground on this show, but but I would love to see something, any sort of changes done, either large or small, just to change the group compositions.
Because the meta had pretty much stagnated since 4.0.
And before.
Yeah, since Sorks and PTs have been pretty strong for a while now.
Because it wasn't fun when everybody was doing dot smash. It's not fun now. I was in an ancient hypergate. I was one Sork healing. I had a co-healer, and there were two Sorks on the other side. No one died. We sat in the middle. We actually hit the timer to end it. We never actually hit the maximum number of points to stop it. We were just too overpowered.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But, now hopefully at least we can't spam our heals out, that you actually pay a force penalty. One thing, too, I'd like to go back to Max's point about talking, with the devs and the PTS, was the PvP community came together and actually gave constructive criticism and worked with the devs and gave the feedback to improve it. And that's a model that other groups should use when stuff is on the PTS, is go test it, give them good feedback, say why you don't like it, but don't get nasty. They will listen if you're saying, hey, this doesn't work, or here's my YouTube video of this, and we have this edge case that's odd, you may want to consider this or that. So I want to commend BioWare for actually putting this stuff on the PTS and going through some iterations on it, because the map is much improved from what it started.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you remember when Quest Shot Ball hit the PTS a couple years ago, that interaction didn't really exist. It was mostly just bug fixes, like the acid pit, the visual was screwed up, or the mag leap was broken. It was mostly bug fixes for the PTS. It wasn't a whole lot of interaction of changing the mechanics of the gameplay.
All right, what about you, Knight? Given you are our PvP expert?
Expert, whew. You know what expert stands for? Has been drip. Expert. Well, I think that's one area that BioWare has improved on tremendously compared to how they used to, is they're not perfect. They're no way close to perfect, but they've got better at, hey, here's what's going to happen, here's our reasons why, this is what we're doing, this is what's coming up, test this, okay, these are your complaints, we're addressing those. Their communication, I think, isn't perfect, but it's at least improved, and it's on the right path, I think.
If only they had more resource to spend on development, and they could do more things, but
I'm hoping it's better this time.
I guess it's up to EA, ultimately, how much resource they want to put into this development. All right.
One last point. I'll say the communication for the PvP map, that kind of follows what we've seen this year with the monthly producer streams, where they actually acknowledge when things are broken and what they're doing to resolve them. So that's, I haven't been playing since launch, but this is new ground for me to see them admit mistakes in the rollout, or admit what's gone wrong, and then propose the solutions that they're going to make it, and actually follow through with them too. So I think the communication on the PvP development is following suit, and I'm glad to see it.
Agreed. All right, now let's talk about the PvE content that we did get, which was the Eternal Championship. So they announced it, they delayed it again. It did finally turn up on the PTS, which, just based on what we've just been talking about, really was a good thing, and apparently they really did improve it again, just like they did with the Warzone. So, what do we all think about the Eternal Championship as our sole PvE content that isn't story? And have you gone back after completing it, if you've completed it? So, Max.
I've been meaning to go back, but I have not gone back. That's a good question. I think it's cool. I think it was a good idea. Maybe they just need to pump up the rewards because the rewards were a little lackluster for somebody that's been playing for a while. Because blue 204 gear or whatever drops in there is pretty useless to me. If it's not 220 or if it's not 224 gear right now, or some way that it's going to give me something that, I do. They added enough achievements though that I do have a little bit of an itch to go back and get the speed run, which I did not get. I got a couple of the other ones, so that's a thing. And it's interesting fights. So it's a little bit solo. It's its own thing, but it's interesting fights. It was a challenge to get through. It was fun to go through it the first time and not have done the fights before and just figure it out. And I had a good time doing it. So I like it from that perspective.
I pretty much agree with all of that. I am also meaning to go back after I finished it, but yeah, I did enjoy the fights. They were sort of, you can see they were suitably instructive for people who would eventually do operations. If it is as they described, their goal was as a bridge to operation content, and sadly the rewards kind of reflected that because you're meant to be doing operations, ironically enough. So, yeah. Knight, you said you haven't actually tried the Eternal Championship yet?
I've tried it, but I have a personal challenge I've been trying to go through that me and Sam talked about on the podcast. I am trying to go through solo without a companion, and it's in PvP gear. I've got all the way to 5. I haven't used got any tips. I haven't seen any. Like, I'll go to each fight and I'll just, without scouting it, so to speak, I'll just go into it. And if I mess up, I die. I try to fix it and do better. And I've got to rank 5. And that was before I've got purple augments and changed my specs. So I want to try again because I want to see just how far you can get solo without a companion. So that's
on your Guardian?
That's on my Guardian, yes. On my Guardian.
That's a challenge.
At first I was in tank gear, tank spec, and I got to 5. Now I'm in a hybrid kind of thing, and I want to see how far I can get. I just haven't done it because every time I get on, it's like, hey, PvP, and I'm like, okay. So, but I do like it from what I've seen. I've really enjoyed. It's a lot more mechanic than I thought it would be. I was worried it would be just go in, tank smink, but there's actually like, hey, don't kill this one first, kill this one first, or hey, make sure to take care of the ads, or hey, you want to make sure you drag them into the poison grenade. Like, I see how it is going to teach people at least basic mechanics so they know, hey, don't stand in stupid. I think Brian and Chuck talked about this last episode they had where it's teaching people at least how to do their own part in ops from what I can see. So I'm glad they're doing that.
Agreed. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I've run through it a couple times. One of my guildies got the Rancor drop off the last boss.
Oh, cool.
And it's really impressive. So that's been an incentive to go back in a couple times. I wish it wasn't gated behind Chapter 9 because I want to try it with other classes. But,
Indeed.
but yeah, I like the mechanics a lot. I like doing ops and PvE stuff. So it's fun to see some of the new things that I don't know if we've seen all these mechanics before in an operation setting. So I feel like they're introducing a couple new things, and there are some challenges. It took me a good 2-3 hours to get through the first time, just learning it, not looking at guides. So yeah, I'm happy for it. It's the replayability once I get to that Rancor is probably pretty minimal. In my head, I'd love to go through and do all the eight classes achievements and get the speed run achievement, but it's probably going to be a while before I get to that point.
Okay. Police?
I haven't done it on live. I did it on the PTS. I just, after seeing Zamzam go through all 8, I decided to take leave of my senses and run 8 characters through the story to get there.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yep.
And so I'm going to go for that because I'm an achievement junkie, and also I like the pet and the mount. So I will, once I get there, I'll do it all.
Fair enough.
Until I get those. But I like it. I think it's good for training. I understand the gear level because the Raiders ops people were going crazy thinking that maybe that the Eternal Championship would drop raid equivalent gear, and I can understand from their perspective. Group content is harder to do, so the Eternal Championship to me rewards appropriately. It's designed to teach people how to do this stuff. It's the beginner. The gear you get is designed to get you into ops, story mode ops, and go on from there and learn mechanics and stuff. For me, because I've been a raider for a long time, a lot of the mechanics were obvious, but I know from having helped people learn how to raid, a lot of them wouldn't be, and it's good experience, and it's good that they can go back and try stuff. It's like, oh, I had a problem with this boss, let me work my way through. The only thing I wish is once you've completed the whole thing, that you could say, hey, I want to try on like boss number 7 and just go right to them instead of having to do bosses 1 to 6.
Without getting rewards, but...
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to be able to go up to a certain boss and then actually zone out and come back to it later in the day rather than it having it reset after 15 minutes.
Yeah, that would be beautiful.
Yeah. If you're looking after a baby, say, yeah. All right, Chill, tell us about the Eternal Championship.
Yeah, I have not gone all the way through it yet. I've been making BioWare very happy by leveling lots of different characters in Kotfi. So, been very much a dilettante, even more than usual in this expansion. So I did manage with the gear and the level of knowledge of the one character that I did it on and so on. Managed to get, I think, to the 6th fight, and before I just was before I was just pooping out on it. But it was actually a lot of fun. I do look forward to doing it on my current character, who I'm working on making my new main. I just finished the most current chapter, so it's now time to focus on getting some gear, and part of that will be hitting EC as well. So looking forward to coming back to it. I think it looked like a lot of fun already from the bosses that I saw, and I look forward to seeing them all. And I did like the fact that every boss, even the very early ones, were all sort of mechanic focused, and there wasn't any just simple point and click shoot 'em ups. So
no tank and spank at all.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to talk about... We've already sort of touched on the gameplay focus areas. Do we actually want to talk about it, or shall we just skip that? Anyone got anything to say?
I think
I
it's
like
a good
them.
change.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Let's just talk about it briefly then. All right. So we heard that during Musco's marathon live stream that the new feature that was added in Game Update 4.3, the gameplay focus areas, where instead of having PvP servers or PvE specific servers, now all of us, wherever we are in the open world, we can change our instance from PvE to PvP just by changing instances. Now, personally, I think this is one of the best things they could have possibly done, because I don't like PvP servers, because sometimes you just want to get on with it, and so that's what the PvE instances are for. But sometimes you do want a bit of a challenge and want to do things, walk on the wild side, so to speak. So PvP, and do well open world PvP, or at least have the risk of it. So that was a fantastic change. But yeah, as Musco said during his live stream, that was apparently what Michael Backus was referring to when he mentioned at a cantina that they had something in mind that was better than cross-server. Not all, but that was a big thing. How that really works, I'm not sure. But as a consequence, of course, they've taken off the designations from the various servers. We no longer have PvP servers or PvE servers or RP servers. They're just servers. So, any thoughts from the panel?
I did not hear that part about this being a core chunk of what they were thinking of when they were thinking of better than cross-server. And if that's the case, I'm quite disappointed in their resolution of better than cross-server. And they're not solving that. This solves a different problem, and I'm fine with the problem that this goes after, and that's cool. But it does nothing to solve the idea of what better than cross-server was supposed to solve, which is how do you get a larger pool of people to be able to queue up for GSF and a larger pool of people to be able to queue up for PvP. There's still the same number of servers and the same population spread over those servers. I don't care if you can change the style of play on each of those servers anymore. That doesn't change the population of people queuing up for GSF.
Yep.
So this, in no way does this solve better than cross-server. In and of itself, in some ways, I liked the idea going into it, So far, though, I think a lot of people are thinking it's somewhat of a failure in that the PvP instances on all of these servers are pretty empty, even on the what used to be the PvP servers. I'm sitting here on Darvanis now. I said I would go over there. That I'm the only one in the PvP map on Darvanis right now, and that's not because there aren't people playing in on Darvanis. There's 3 other maps open.
Right.
Wow.
But I'm the only one in the PvP instance. So no one's now on a PvP. PvP servers style has been eliminated from the game,
Right.
and so we just have what we had before, which is PvE servers with multiple maps. That's so disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Floridan in our chat put it pretty well. Nothing is better than cross-server. Nothing. And he hopes that BioWare realise that now. And yes, as you said. Any other thoughts?
My only thought is that unless this is a stepping stone to having one PvP instance for all the players in North America, one PvE instance or 2 or 3 PvE instances for all the players in North America, and this was just part of the stepping stone to get there. Otherwise, it solves a problem that didn't exist. The justification they gave for it was, well, if your friend plays on a PvP server but you like PvE, well then you can go to the PvE instance of a PvP server.
Right.
But you're still not playing with your friends because you're going to be in different instances. So that problem doesn't exist. I don't like that justification. I really am hopeful that it's just a stepping stone to whatever this grand final solution will be.
Right.
And
well, it's not like you can do the
was
story
intent,
together if you're on the same server.
Even if that was the intent, so now you can switch servers. If they're going to merge servers, then yes. But even if that was the intent, that now you can switch servers more easily, well, then why just recently did they up the cartel coin cost to be able to switch servers?
Right.
They just, maybe one side's not talking to the other, but getting rid of that 90 cartel coin easy way to switch and go join your friends sort of defeats the purpose of that as well.
Unless both hands are actually looking at the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's kind of a band-aid. I like it. I like that there is a way to go to an instance. The idea of it's cool. Go to an instance, everyone's flagged for PvP no matter what. Or go to an instance and everyone's PvE or no matter what. I like that. And I wish they had done that sooner. But as Max was saying, it doesn't actually address the whole situation of, hey, I'm not getting Q pops for GSF or for PvP or no Gruns and Group Finder. You still have that problem. So it's a good start, and I agree with Brian. I just hope it leads to something better in tandem with this.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of the steps that they've made are, while they may not be perfect in themselves, they're setting themselves up to do a server merge if they decide they need to, or a mega server or something that. I mean, I agree. Pretty much every other MMO has servers, has cross-server capability. They need to add it at some point because, I mean, especially PvP ranked. How can you truly say that this person is the best of the best when they're not competing against the entire ranked PvP base?
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're kind of meaningless, the various ELO ratings that people are getting because they're isolated.
And it makes it so hard.
I mean,
no, sorry.
No, it's good. As I say, I've been thinking it's a great move that they have done because at least, with the instances and the sharding, they should have done that initially and just made all the... Yeah, I know. I put a T in that, and I meant sharding because I'm thinking about the old Ultima Online, how they justified multiple servers.
Yep.
But, that way every server was everything. In fact, I'd like to see them have an RP instance where that chat is localized to that instance. So people want to RP, they're all self-contained.
Sure. That's the kind of thing they could add.
Right. But, it doesn't solve cross-server, but, it is something that at least helps. If you want to go, if you're like me and run around and be the only person on an entire world on the PvP instance.
Well, there is an advantage to that. Like people in chat are saying if you're going to farm commanders or world boss spawns or whatever, there's definitely an advantage to being on a low pop server. But why couldn't they just have low pop instances on a high population server where this instance only allows 10 players and then it spawns a new one or something like that?
Well, that could be a hardware limitation as well, which is, I suspect,
Yeah,
the only reason they
fair
haven't
enough.
actually joined the servers. Because World of Warcraft, for example, has this method where they've joined realms together, and so you've got multiple realms effectively on the same server, and they just add the server name when you're in chat or whatever. So mechanically, it's actually quite easy to do, at least conceptually. And they could have done that, but maybe their technology can only handle so many players, though the Harbinger on the West Coast really does kind of push it. As Bill646 said in chat, it's already a mega server, effectively. So
Yeah.
it's a monster. All right, any more on that?
Nope.
The PvE PvP thing has really made Outlaw's Den really weird.
Yes.
'Cause
Oh,
you go there
yes.
and
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't flag you. There's still boxes you can pick up, but you can't change instances while you're inside it. Still,
Yep.
they didn't change
It's-
that.
It's
So it's
made
really
Conquest
bizarre. Yeah, it's a bizarre hybrid of of what it used to be and what the regular instances are now.
Yep. Like right now, if you go to a PvE instance and you're taking out commanders, you can take them and you don't get flagged. To get flagged, you actually have to go to a PvP instance, and so you're able to attack people's bases and fear no repercussion from players. But my theory on it was, just get a group of like 6 sages or 6 sorcerers and just heal your friendly NPCs, and they can't kill anybody.
Ah,
So,
Right.
but yeah, it's
because
yeah,
you won't be
makes
flagged
that
either.
tough. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so, but yeah.
and if you're doing the macro binocular and seeker droid stuff in Outlaw's Den, you can dig to your heart's content and no one can attack you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Now, if you were... Something they also took away was the server load, as in whether a server was light, medium, etc. So a handy tip, if you go to SWTOR.com's server status page, which is still there, you actually can actually see what it used to be. And also the old designations, etc. So it's all still on the web, just not in-game in your server selection screen when you log in.
Right.
All right. Now, we actually have some questions from a listener. This was specifically from the Bad Feeling podcast, a listener in your guild, Brian. The Has a Bad Feeling guild. And, well, I'm going to ask all of these. Just ask each question and then just go around the table. So you can choose not to answer if you like or whatever. But we've got a few. There's 6 questions in total. Though, actually, one of them is more an idea. All right, anyway. So, Brian, do you want to say anything about your guild mate who put this in?
Sure. If you follow the SWTOR subreddit, you've probably seen him on as preferred till new ops, which is
And he's in the chat room too.
He's in our chat right now. He's a super nice guy, and subbed in beta, got early access and the whole works. But when the announcement came down that there were going to be no more ops, he canceled his subscription. He's just been doing a preferred play ever since. But so ever since that's come down, we've always speculated: are there going to be new ops? Does it just mean not right now? Is something in the works? And so these are some questions that he asked me to bring to the group.
All right. So first question is: do you guys think people should keep asking for new group content, as we all do? All right. Let's start with Max.
Sure, no reason not to. There's feedback to the developers on the kind of content you want in the game. I see nothing harmful about continuing to ask for that. It's one of the top things on my list that I'd like to see in the game is new group content. So yes, keep asking and tell them that Max wants it too.
All right. How about you, Knight?
I agree. I would just like it to see in a more constructive way. Like, don't just say, hey, I want group content, but hey, I would like to see something in this area. Give them ideas that might spark their interest to, because you might have an idea they never had before, that they might like, oh, that's interesting. Give them something to go off of, to run with, that they can maybe start with something. So, and also it'd be cool to see what everyone else wants to see. Maybe get a poll going. I don't know. I'd like to see something more than just what I saw on that live stream when Muska was doing his 15-hour live stream, because that was not constructive asking for more content.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a valid request to make, but I'll put 2 caveats on it. One is that spamming the live stream chat, that is not helpful. That's not the way to ask for new content. And the other thing is be more specific, because if you remember before we got a new PvP map, we said, well, group content is PvP maps and it's PvE instances. And well, we got a new PvP map, and that's group content. Well, what we really mean is we want another operation, we want another daily area, we want another flashpoint. So using the catch-all term group content, while it does include more players, it's not specific enough to get what you want.
Okay. Police?
Yes, definitely ask for more content, and as the guys have said, be polite, don't be jerks about it, and be fair. When they do something cool, congratulate them about it. And for example, let's take the Eternal Championship. You could say, hey, I like some of the mechanics in this fight. Could we see these in an operation?
Sure.
Even if it's and maybe not, a 8 to 10 boss operation or a 4 or 5 boss operation. It's like, hey, could you guys add a Taboros Courtyard for us using maybe a couple of these mechanics? Give them examples. Try to engage them, get them discussing things, because it's healthy for the community when the devs explain to us their limitations, because a number of things their hands are tied for. They have a set budget that they have to work in, and they're trying to meet expectations for all the various groups. And there is no majority group that enjoys the content, not even leveling, because there are a lot of people that level simply to get to the end game.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't enjoy it. It's when you add up all the minority groups, you get the whole of SOTOR.
Right.
And so, try to engage with them. I mean, look at the successful groups. Again, the people who gave feedback on the PTS for the Eternal Championship or the new Warzone maps. Model yourself on that. Because if you're willing to be patient and talk to them in a civil manner, they're more willing to respond to you. If all you do is just say in Twitch chat, where's my new op? Where's my new op? Where's my new op? They're just going to tune you out. You're just going to become background noise.
Well said. All right, Shell.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to stop people from asking, so I'm not sure what the point of the question is.
All right.
No, I think people,
we could elaborate on it, but
yeah, I think it's important for everyone who is interested in the future of the game to let the devs know what they like. So yes, of course they should.
Because otherwise, they'll just give us what they think we want, which
They
may
think we
or may
want,
not
right.
equal.
Right,
Yes.
or what their metrics tell us we'll pay the most for.
Well, apparently, everyone loves story because that's what we've got. And as Blaise mentioned, that is how you just happen to level. So we all kind of have to do it regardless. And it is the common denominator, basically. Anyway,
Yeah.
second question. How will the lack of group content change the way you play, or run your guilds, or run your podcasts, Max?
So it's a good question, and there's a little bit of back and forth in the chat here. We're still running. Granted, we've got players coming into the guild that haven't played very much before, so we're still running operations.
Sure.
And I'm surprising myself and even counting it up, but 5 nights a week. It's 4 ops teams and then 1 open ops night, and we're not a very, very big guild. So a lot of people, just because they want to connect up with their friends and do something together in the game, we have fun nights, we go and goof off, we visit some of these old operations. So the fact that they went and redid all the operations, it's still, they're still out there and they're still useful. Are people sort of disappointed that there's nothing new out there to do and go after? Yes, everyone's sort of feeling that. So there is a danger, I think, even within our guild where we're still doing a lot of it, that people are just going to get tired of doing the same operation, even as fun as it is hanging out with friends, just doing the same thing week to week to week. So I don't know how it will change. It hasn't changed us just yet, but it has the potential if it's never going to happen.
Right.
If they came out, and we actually had this discussion in our guild at our last ops night. If BioWare came out and said, just so you guys know, we are never doing another new operation. We're focusing our resources on this other kind of content. I think that would have an impact on lots of people.
And I can guarantee they will never, ever say that. Ever.
Right. Right. Because they will not. So are they being dishonest if that is their current strategy and they're not sort of explaining that?
No, not at all. Because they could always change their mind.
They could always do it. It'd be
Exactly,
nice.
So,
It'd be nice to know.
yes, I agree. All right, Knight.
It would be nice to know. Sorry, I was so interested in what Max was trying to say, I lost the question. Okay. No, for us, it's basically stayed the same because we've always been a PvP guild, and when the big hit that happened in the beginning of the launch, where all the PvP players pretty much left, we're the guys that still hung around and went through the whole drought of content, and so for us, actually, content's increased.
True.
And then, so with us, it's not really changed how we play because we've been doing the same thing for a while, just jumping in PvPing, and a lot of us are actually starting to branch out and actually start doing the ops and stuff, so it's not affecting us as much because what we've done hasn't changed a whole lot, and we're branching out. I'm sorry, I'm going in a circle. How we run the podcast is the same because we just started. So it's in the guilds, we're doing what we do, PvPing, having fun, and we're like the perfect group that SWTOR is aiming for. And I'm sad to say, it's good for us, but the larger community out there needs more of what the community loves. And I'm really hoping that with Season 2, that if they still have the group that worked on the retrofitting of old content, I'm hoping they put them into making some awesome new ops, because I've always done them once or twice just to see the story, see the mechanics, and have fun, and then fill in. So I'm hoping they really do some amazing things because it would be good for the community, I think. So I'm hoping they do that, and I'm hoping the reason they said they're not saying what Max was like to say is them actually giving a definitive answer. I think the reason they're not is because hopefully they're planning on something. They just don't want to be like, hey, we're not going to do it until halfway through Season 2, because then people would have a bad reaction, and I think they're just trying to hold on the people, unfortunately.
All right, Brian?
I would say my gameplay has changed a little bit because since the announcement in 4.0, I don't have a steady ops team every twice a week like I used to have in 3.0 era. We had a steady group of 9 guys, always showed up early, and some of them kind of trailed off. The announcement of nothing new really took the wind out of our sails. So now it's a bit of a struggle to get a group together every single week or twice a week or whenever we want to do it, which maybe we're going to bug a couple things, maybe we'll try to kill commanders. So it's really kind of changed what that weekly group activity is for the guild. But we're still doing stuff as a team. We just kind of need to figure out what we're going to do depending on attendance. So, but I still log in as much as I can, and I still do all the things I used to do, which is PvP and leveling and everything else. Probably not, and our guild's always just kind of been a catch-all for anybody that likes dirty jokes and just goofing off. So I don't think we're going to change too much there. And our podcast, we've never really talked about mechanics or anything like that because we're bad at it. So we'll be doing the same dumb show in perpetuity.
All right. Police?
Yes and no. It's hard without the lack of new ops to bring in people who are used to that type of large group activity. They see the revamped, and you can tell them, hey, if you come in new, there's a lot of cool stuff you've never done. But without the additional commitment from BioWare for additional new ops, it's like, well, why should I invest the time if I don't see, them continuing the group content? And I kind of wish they would, if they don't want to do ops, add more flashpoints. Something we've all talked about is challenge modes in the various ones.
Yeah.
PvE leaderboards. How fast can you do it? Give titles and mounts for doing a certain number of them within a set amount of time. That's group content, small group content that people would just eat up. For me, because I don't do ops in SWTOR anymore, I've been doing PvP. And I'm grinding 2 characters out to Valor 100 because I would like to have that title at some point. So that I'm in that really high steep climb now in the 60s. So I'm doing that. It's group content is important because people get involved, they get active, they talk about it. It makes the community feel alive for a certain part of a player base. For example, on Twitter, SOTOR Family is great because it gives a lot of people a chance to talk about the stuff that they're doing in game. And it may be, showing off their character or asking questions or things like that. And that's, these are the type of interactions you want to see. You want to feel like this is a vibrant community, that there are things going on. And when all you do is hear, well, if you love story, that's great, play it, but we're not seeing development of other stuff that we traditionally, right or wrong, associate with an MMO, it makes it a harder sell to other MMO players at this point in time. And as far as our podcast goes, we have been changing up some of our format based on how BioWare is releasing information. Just because there's these deluges and droughts, and so we're kind of going into more of a discussion topic format instead of kind of commenting on whatever was released. Because we know after the end of Chapter 16, there's going to be a drought of information for a while.
That's a good point.
So, it does affect, what BioWare does affect us, but, so there is in-game content, there is group content, can you find what you like, but, like I said before, the whole game needs all the areas to be firing, whether it's stronghold decoration collecting, dress up for your characters, GSF. About the only thing that we wouldn't have is the old on-rail space shooter.
I wouldn't mind more of that, actually.
Yeah, people talked about a PvE GSF version, something like that. So, it's health. People like, even if you don't participate in that activity, you like to know that everybody's getting the love over time.
All right, chill.
Yeah. Well, the way we've changed is I'm still doing a lot of alt leveling, but I always did, so that's not too different. But the difference now is that because we had an operations group, there was always a certain amount of focus on keeping one of my characters at endgame and fully geared and ready with all the adrenals and stims and up to date on all that good stuff. That's of course gone by the wayside. So I am truly an altaholic, just going from one to another. It's on the other hand, though, although we lost our operations group, and that was a big change in sort of how I play and how I feel about the game and all that good stuff. But we've gotten a lot of new players into the guild, and a lot of them have naturally sort of found niches for themselves, especially helping out with the guild. We've got Dredd, we've got Dekian and Fiona, and they're all doing guild exercises and forming guild groups and forming operations groups and doing GSF, and stuff like that. So in a weird way, even though our operations group died, almost everything else about the game is like more vibrant than ever as far as our guild goes and so on. Not too many changes to the podcast that I can think, although I think it was sort of underlying this whole sort of change that is bringing all these players in and leveling and all that stuff. I think is one of the reasons that the Academy with SOTORista has been so popular and been received so well. Yeah. And one of the reasons that to have it right now is because of all the new interest and new players in the game.
All right. Nothing really to add to that beyond the fact I'm pretty much story logging at this point, logging in, doing the story on one character and not really playing a lot, but that's mainly because real life is very busy, though if there was something to really get my teeth into, I suspect I would. And it's fantastic to see our guild so active with people who are relatively new to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. All right, I'm going to change up how the rest of the questions a little bit just to get through it quickly, because I don't want to... We'll pretty much be done once we're done with this.
Yeah, I was going to say number 3 is kind of like a retread of 1 at this point, because we touched on it.
Okay. Now, are any of the podcasts considering taking a break or leaving like Old Republic Radio did? Max. Confronting.
Good. Way to put it out there and put it on the line. No, we're not at this point. It's still fun. It's sometimes it's hard to come up with topics. So the way we run our podcast is we come up with a new topic every week. Sort of like what Swotrista's doing, and after she does, what are we up to, 145 episodes? It's sometimes hard to come up with topics.
Yes.
However, the producer live streams and the chapters coming out each month, that's been a topic at least, and then we're still able to go back and do things like Light Dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time we struggle to come up with a topic, but then get up and get online and do the podcast, it's still fun. It's still fun doing the podcast, talking to people in chat. So as long as we're still having fun doing it, we'll do it regardless of what's going on in Star Wars or if they ever release any new content again. If people want to get out there and talk about it, that's sort of what's driving it for us. So that's where we are.
All right. And Knight, given you're sort of the new generation of podcast, well, not much of a question for you, but anything to say?
No, I mean, PvP has a smaller amount to talk about than PvE stuff, but there is still plenty for us to talk about now, and when we do eventually run out of things to talk about, we're going to end up just using what we see and issues we seem to notice a lot in PvP and talk about those and how people can do better with those. We're planning on, always trying to expand. We're not gonna stop anytime soon, hopefully.
All right. Brian.
No, we're here, like I said, in perpetuity, because I'm always doing stupid stuff in game and finding new ways to die. And something that Chuck and I like to do is kind of challenge each other to go outside our comfort zone. So that's always a fun show content there too. So now we're here till they shut the servers off.
All right, Police.
I'm actually more involved now that I'm with the podcast than I was before. It gives me a reason to get in and play. Because I can talk about it.
Right.
I can see individual, podcasters saying, I've reached my limit, I'm burned out and I want to step out, but our podcast will continue going because we always at least have something to talk about, even if it is rather salty at times, but, as long as the game continues to release content, there's always something for us to discuss.
All right. Chill.
No plans on changing.
Yeah. Admittedly, we have toyed with the idea of going bi-weekly, just as in case we don't have enough stuff to talk about, because we've been every single week ever since launch, or actually before launch. And I still think we should just take a break just to break that cycle so I can just get that off my back. But no, there's always something to talk about, as Max said. Live streams, chapters coming out. There is just stuff, and failing that, there's always a bit of Star Wars news to talk about, if nothing else. So,
yeah, especially now.
Yeah. All right.
Well, if you guys do that, that does open the door. Because we've done every single week now for 145 weeks too, and it is. We find just about a month ago we finally stopped doing we did every Monday night for like 140 weeks. For the last 5, we've changed. We did like 4 Tuesday nights, and this week we did a Wednesday night because we finally switched it to Tuesday because they were releasing all the chapters on Tuesday.
Right.
So 3 months
And
in,
then,
3 weeks in, they released on a Wednesday. Even that, I don't know if there's a little part of me that I'm usually not, but a little part of me that's obsessive to some degree. It's a little weird switching to Tuesday nights. So, I don't know. Taking a break for a week, that would be crazy.
Yeah, I know. Though we're thinking of going to Star Wars Celebration next year, so there may be a 2-week break where. Well, we'll record some content while we're over there, of course. But
Right.
Yeah, you can do a
We'll
live.
play catch up.
Do sort of like a live thing. Well, I'm going to
Well,
be out of
we've done that
town the
too.
week of the 13th, and we're going to do an episode ahead of time and still release it on Tuesday. So.
yeah, I've got to admit, that's already going through my head what we can pre-record and just put out during those weeks.
I know.
It's
Get
sad,
one in the
isn't it?
can.
Yes.
As they say.
Yes. All right, let's make this the last question. Do you guys think being more vocal about wanting more content would help? I'm not sure what the listener numbers are, but I'm sure if all the podcasts got behind it, it would reach a bunch of people. Of course, I don't know if reaching our audiences would actually help anything, unless we just do what we've been doing already, is encouraging everyone to express to BioWare what they want in as specific a way as and give them ideas. All right, so Max.
Skip me.
Okay.
I gotta think. About
So,
something.
Knight.
Being more vocal, I don't know if that's the right term I'd use, but being more efficient and going about it different ways, I think would help. Because we've tried and we've been doing it the same way for a long period of time, and it's kind of like that's the definition of an insanity: doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. So I think we need to try to just go about it a different way, throw it out there. Don't just be more vocal and be out there. I don't know how to say it, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Just, yeah.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to be more vocal about it. I think the message has been conveyed that people want ops, people want group content. I think I'm fairly confident they're aware. You know, anytime I happen to talk to Musco or anybody up there, they know that the community's been asking for it, and I think it's really a matter of making it a priority for them. I think the message has been conveyed. I don't know how we could say it more plainly or in a different way or get a different result. So I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up carrying the torch. I still staunchly believe there will be 2 flashpoints leading us from season 1 to season 2. That's my pipe dream.
Non-operation.
No, I would say 2 flashpoints, but maybe.
Right, kind of like the ones leading up to Rishi.
Right. Yeah.
Solo ball with the Jesus droid. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I have in the back of my mind. I don't know if it'll ever come true, but I know that the message has been received. They just have to work it into their plan and whatever their way of scheduling things is.
All right, Police.
As far as I know, all the podcasts have been vocal. I mean, what they've tried to do is be careful that they don't become so salty that people perceive them as being completely negative all the time.
Indeed.
You know, because when people think all you're going to do is basically whine, complain, snivel about everything, then they stop listening to you. And cat.
That's why I always shut the door to my to the computer room when I
I
get a
can't
stream
because
going.
this is a living room, but but it's and she'll lay on the keyboard. You can ask Brian what she did to my Audacity stream last time.
Oh God, you don't.
Yeah. All right. But you know, we've said it, you know, and we'll keep emphasizing that we want new content. We want new content for every player in the game, no matter what your style is. I think we can all say that one time or another we've asked for new content for each area. You know, we'll keep pushing it. We may not be, you know, grabbing the pitchfork and the villagers and storming the castle, but we'll say it, you know, what we like, what we don't. But again, we don't want to be so complaintive that BioWare tunes us out, where they say, "Oh, they're on that rant again, so I'm just going to ignore them." You know, if the main thing is to be constructive, it's like, "Hey, can you do this? We would like to see that. We like this. Can we have more of it?" And work from there.
Ideas, as Knight was saying as well. Be constructive, but also be innovative. Come up with new concepts that maybe they haven't thought about. But as Brian said, I think the key point here is that they only have X resource to dedicate to development of new features aside from story, and they will prioritize the application of that resource to whatever it is, and they can probably only do one thing at a time. So all we can really influence is the order or the priority of the various types of features that they could potentially add to the game. But no harm in trying. All right, Chill.
Oh, I really don't have anything to add to that. I think everyone else has said it perfectly well.
All right, Max.
Yeah. So now that I've had 2 seconds to think of ideas, that's what I'm trying to do. Is as we're talking about this, is how could we be more vocal, if it is if there is broad consensus that a new operation would be really great. I don't know. I don't know really if we personally on our podcast have been that vocal. We don't talk about it all that often. I think we've sort of said it offhand that, yeah, we would love a new operation, and they haven't had it in a while. Maybe we could be a little more vocal or be a little more direct, or post a little more on the forums directly. I don't think we really are that influential that's going to help. So we could at least be direct about the feedback. I think that continues to be fine. As long as you're not abusive, being direct about your feedback and continuing to be vocal about the feedback is fine. The idea that they have limited resources, though, and they need to apply those resources in the way they think will support the broad goals of keeping the game alive the best that they can, is key. Is there any way that we can influence that? I don't know. Could we start a Kickstarter? Where we'll give them money to build a new operation on the side, or hire a couple extra people?
Oh boy.
There you go. I mean, if it is a resource and time issue, maybe that's the way to do it.
If you don't mind me throwing this out, sorry. Yeah, right. I was thinking about how, because I brought up that offer a new idea, whatever, and I was like, what idea would they offer? My kind of thing would be, it'd be awesome to see BioWare working in tandem with this and be like, hey, we would like to take, like, I don't know if any of you have ever played Champions Online. So community, send in artwork, send in ideas, we'll take a vote, we'll see, and then we'll make the winners a new costume. I would love for BioWare to get involved with the community and be like, hey, let's see some ideas. There's some really talented people who play these games. I mean, look at Elder Scrolls. The best part of Elder Scrolls on PC is all the mods. If they could somehow incorporate or use the creativity and the talent of the community to brainstorm or come up with ideas, or just even map layouts, everything, they could do so much with the community, and I think they're not using that resource like they should. And if there is some way for BioWare to work with the community in some way to at least get ideas that then they could then run by the people to see if Disney's okay with it, I think that'd be a good start for trying to get ideas out there.
There's a very real problem with ownership of IP, intellectual property.
Yeah.
That's stop them doing that. So maybe they could work it into like a competition where there's massive terms and conditions where you give away any right to it and etc. But yeah, that is the only reason that can't be done more than what you're describing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, I think they have also the challenge of the idea that they need to sort of check in on canon just a little bit with the broader Star Wars IP set. But I love the idea. Anytime you can get players to be creating their own content, and I've said this about PvE also, giving players the tools to create their own content. Like I can, my guild can hold a base, and then other guilds can try to assault the base that I'm holding this week, and then yes, that will go very far in creating a vibrant content community. But yeah, there's probably challenges in making permanent bits of content, and not just a bunch of mechanics that allow players to play how they want.
True. I mean, City of Heroes had that user-generated content, but then again, they only had to go through one set of lawyers. I mean, you'd have to go through EA and Disney, which is a bigger hurdle.
I believe Star Trek Online added that capability, but again, I don't know how successful it is. The problem with that kind of stuff is finding player-generated content that's actually worth playing, and it's usually like 90% of it is crap, and it's just finding the diamonds in the rough kind of thing. But still, having the tools available means there is that 10% that's actually worth other people actually getting into.
Yeah, and usually that sort of thing, even if it's a tiny fraction, the players will find it, and it ends up being popular enough that other players can conglomerate on it.
Yeah, and it's something that BioWare didn't have to spend man hours and EA didn't spend money doing, but I agree with the whole IP and all that stuff.
Well, and you also have to make sure that, I mean, Lego did their MMO, and people would create obscene images with the building blocks, and they had to stop doing that. So, everything would have to be vetted, so you're adding that overhead.
Yeah, true. It's a brilliant idea that it's probably will never happen.
Unfortunately, people are people.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are we ready to outro, or did anything else you want to cover? Because we're running longish.
Gus
You
is
want to
gonna
wrap
be
up
great.
with light side, dark side?
How so, Max? What do you got in mind?
Well, but I think Brian sent out the email saying should we poll ourselves the whole idea of are you
yeah.
more light side or dark side? And 56% of the choices in the past couple months have all been light side.
Yes.
And are you light side or dark side? And so you sort of use that as the wrap up.
All right, and how about you do that, Chill, and ask everyone to also give their podcast information.
Okay.
See if you can roll all that together.
Sure. I for light side, dark side, it depends on the character. I tend to have a little bit of sort of light RP. In other words, I'm thinking about the character and what they're doing, and so the dark side and light side will be based on that character. However, if you're just talking about in general, like my personality or whatever, I definitely will tend towards light side choices, just naturally. And yeah, and if you want to listen to the UtiniCast, well, it's on iTunes and all that good stuff. It's utinicast.com, and we're on Twitter and Facebook at UtiniCast. So,
All
Max,
usual
how about you?
places.
Yes, exactly. Max, how about you?
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting that everyone assumes that dark side is so cool, but more light side choices have been chosen.
Yeah.
I would say of all the characters I've created and all the gameplay I've done, I'm pretty much about 98% light side. So that's just a way that I've always played and a way that I've preferred to play. I didn't even like being light side on the Empire to start at launch and switch over to the Republic really quick. So I'm light side. But yeah, now if there's a challenge and I get points for being dark side, I may spin up some dark side characters finally. To find us, the SWOTOR Escape podcast, you can follow me, Max the Gray, on Twitter or at AIESEMA, and you can find our podcast on iTunes, YouTube, and newoverlords.com is where we host it.
Very nice.
That's us.
Knight, how about you?
I think Chuck from the Bad Feeling podcast would probably have a hard time talking to me because I'd remind him of his Sentinel. I am overly light side. Even like playing the original KOTORs, trying to do dark side option bothered my stomach. But yeah, no, light side all the way. And you can reach us at haveanicedaycast.podbean.com or the email haveanicedaycast@yahoo.com or our Twitters at Knight300 or Zayas30.
Very nice. And Brian, how about you?
Yeah, I'm probably at least 60% dark side. The reason being, anytime I try to go pure light side on a character, they're just a complete tool. Like, it's just, I don't like this character by the time I get about halfway through the story. They got to muck it up a little bit. So, yeah, at least 60% dark side choices, because I have a few characters that are all 100% dark side. But if you want to hear more stories from the Bad Feeling podcast, tune in on Thursdays. Head out to badfeelingpodcast.com. My co-host Chuck and I are pretty bad at this game, but we like talking about it, making dirty jokes. And you can find us on Facebook.com/badfeelingpodcast or on the Twitter at badfeelingpdcst.
They ran out of letters.
We did. Character limits.
And Police.
I looked at all my characters above level 60, and I was basically 70% light side with one character who was amazingly still gray, and that was one of my bounty hunters. So it's like, okay, I know which way I'm going. But then again, given where I work, that feels so much like, if I go dark side, it feels like I'm at work, so I tend to play more light side. And you can find all of us at StarWarsBeyond.com or on Twitter at StarWarsBeyond. And the website will give you all of our individual Twitter handles.
All right. And Teoj, how about you, light or dark?
If I follow my own conscience, it would be light side all the way. I tend to be fairly extreme in that lawful good direction, just by who I am. But if I just to see the dark side options, I will do it. But Charles Boyd has clearly succeeded in that. I do feel awful whenever I pick dark side options. But yes, light side pretty much all the way.
All right. Did you want me to do anything else for the outro?
How about just see you all next time?
All right. Yeah, this has been the Galactic Gamers Coalition podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Let me just also record a hey guys, because I forgot to record earlier. All right, anything else, or shall we, let's call it good?
I think we're good.
All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will have this edited probably not tomorrow because real life, so it'll be probably sometime later in the week, but I won't mess around with it too long. So again, thank you all for watching, and you see us all on our various individual shows.
And thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome being here. It's like my birthday present for today. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, see you guys. Everyone else, keep